Welcome to the Mainly Moonology podcast. I'm your host, Yasmin Boland, an award-winning astrologer and the Sunday Times best-selling author of books including Moonology and creator of the Moonology Oracle cards. My intention for this podcast is to help you understand how you can create your dream life using mainly Moonology, the moon, as your guide. Hey everybody, it's Yasmin here and thank you for tuning in to the Mainly Moonology podcast. I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of the astrology for the week ahead because I know everybody loves that before I hand you over to our amazing guest, the identity of whom I'm going to keep secret just for a little minute while I talk you through what is happening in the skies this week. And I think the first thing to mention is that right at the start of the week, we've just had a Mars opposite Chiron connection. So if you found the weekend was a little bit healing in any way, shape or form, that is thanks to the Mars-Chiron connection. Mars is the planet of action. Chiron is the healing planetoid. So when they get together, as they did at the end of the weekend, it is a time that can be, which hopefully will be a little bit healing. So if you've been a little bit up and down lately because of something which has been going on in your life, could be a work thing, could be a private thing, could be anything. Hopefully by the time you hear this, you're starting to think, you know what, maybe I've turned the corner. And if you are going through a rough time, remember that getting better doesn't always go in a straight line. You can, start to go up a bit and be feeling better, and then you might feel you're falling back into the abyss again, and then you'll be feeling a bit better. But hopefully you're feeling on an up and up trajectory for the simple reason that we did have this Mars-Chiron connection on Sunday. This podcast comes out on a Monday, so you would have experienced it so already, hopefully. And just by the way, we're actually going to start changing the date that this podcast comes out. So stay tuned, just because we think it might be useful to you if it comes out. We're thinking maybe on a Friday or a Saturday, but stay tuned for that. At the moment, it's coming out on a Monday. And then what we also have as the week begins is we've got a really nice connection between Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury being in the sign of Virgo, Jupiter being in the sign of Taurus, and they're making what's known as a trine, which is really, really positive. It means it's going to be good for communication, which basically opens everything up because communication is obviously pretty much the key to everything. It's when you stop talking things through that the trouble starts, let's face it. So if you have an issue with someone and you've been thinking, oh my God, it's going to be such a nightmare, I don't want to talk about it, how am I going to get through this? Monday morning is a really, really good time to be having that conversation. The moon will be in the sign of Aquarius as well, which is great because Aquarius is sort of the detached sign. So it means that you can speak a little bit more dispassionately about whatever it is that's going on in your life that's such a big deal. And remember, of course, this week is a full moon week. So every day as we inch closer to the full moon, which is going to take place on Friday, the emotional temperature is going to be going up. So, start of the week, great for that dispassionate conversation you need to have. Should go quite well. Mercury being the planet of communications, making a harmonious aspect to the planet that's pretty much everyone's best friend, that wants to be easy to get along with, that's cheerful and carefree, and lucky, Jupiter. And then we actually get the full moon itself, which is taking place in the sign of Aries. Now, this is a big deal because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. As you might know, there are 12 signs of the zodiac. Aries is the first. So we are actually restarting a lunar cycle. And if you've encountered my work much over the years, you will probably have heard me say that even though when it comes to manifesting with the moon, even though it's making our new moon wishes that always seems to be like the biggest thing. In fact, it's, I believe, the release work that we do at full moon when we offer things up to the divine and just say, hand it over to spirit and say, okay, you take care of this. Whatever didn't work out, I can't deal with it. You deal with it. It's for you to fix up now, please. I offer it up to you. Show me what to do. Show me how to heal. Show me what I need to do in order to make the best of this situation. And the reason why the full moon in Aries is a big deal is because it's the start of the new cycle. So if you're really intent on creating a life for yourself that you really want to make the most of, then now is the time to commit to working with the full moon over the next 12 months, because here's the full moon in the first sign of the zodiac, Aries. Next month, we'll get the full moon in the second sign of the zodiac, Taurus. Then after that, we'll get a month later the full moon in the sign of Gemini, the third sign, and so on. And it will go round all the 12 signs. So if you're feeling so inclined, join me for a minute by deciding that you're going to try and change your life for the better. And put your hand over your heart chakra between your breasts, if you have them, and just close your eyes and just repeat after me silently or out loud if you want to. We're just going to do a pledge about working with the full moon. So I hereby pledge, hand on heart, I hereby pledge that I will work on myself so that I may create the best possible life for myself and others over the coming 12 months with all of the full moons. So there you go. Little pledge for you. I hope you did it with me. So let me also mention to you that right after the full moon, only about 6 hours later, actually, or 8 hours later, there's actually a rather intense clash between the planet of love and abundance, Venus, and the planet of chaos, Uranus. So if the full moon is a bit scatty for you, if something does come up, if all the good vibes of the communications in the first part of the week by the end of the week seem to have just gone out the window, try not to panic. And really what you need to do is you need to think about the fact that Uranus is the planet that does not want to be controlled. So maybe you're feeling like someone's trying to control you, or maybe you're trying to control someone else. But just be careful, because it's with energies like this around just after the very emotional full moon in the very fiery sign of Aries. And remember, this is all taking place on Friday, the 29th of September, so the very end of the month. It could be that if you allow things to spiral out of control, things really will spiral out of control, and they could go out of your control, beyond your control, and before you know it, you're like, oh my God, what just happened? So just go easy. I'll be doing a ceremony on Facebook, as I do every full moon, on the Hay House page, but also on my page, Yasmin Boland Moonology. I'll be doing a full moon ceremony. I'm not quite sure which format it's going to take yet. Maybe I'll get back in the garden with a fire, or I might do another one at my desk. You guys loved the one I did at my desk quite recently, where I sort of talk things through. So it seems like you like both formats. But we'll be doing some chanting and some release work just to try and work with the energies in the best possible way so that we can try and ride the waves of the intensity of the full moon in the sign of Aries, which is a firebrand sign, just ahead, 8 hours ahead of this Venus clash with the planet of chaos, Uranus. And I'll just say as well, the week does end on a more positive note, you'll be glad to hear. So if you can get through the full moon and the Venus square Uranus on the Friday, by Saturday, we actually have a rather nice link, again featuring Mercury, which was prominent at the start of the week with its connection to the lucky planet Jupiter. And now we get Mercury making a harmonious angle to Uranus, which, as I said, is the planet of chaos, but also the planet of change, awakenings, liberation, and really all about breaking free of the ties that bind. So if it has been a tough week because, the full moon hit you and then Venus, Uranus hit you, and then and you've just been feeling a little bit discombobulated, by the end of the week with this nice Mercury-Uranus connection, there's a very good chance that under that lovely and intense Aries moon, it could all work out for the best. So overall, the key here for the week ahead is breathe through any dramas, and communicate. And do join me for my Facebook full moon ceremony. It's free. It'll be on my page, Yasmin Boland, Moonology on Facebook, and on the Hay House page, where they now have 1 million followers, which is incredible. So, talking of communication, I want to hand you over now to an interview that I did with one of my favourite fellow Hay House authors, Radleigh Valentine. He's the Tarot King, because I don't think there's anyone out there who does more work in the public eye with tarot, or tarot as he calls it. I know there are big tarot communities out there, but are there people there who are as much in the mainstream as Radleigh Valentine, who's created multiple tarot decks with, the angels and the guardian angels and all sorts of energies? Anyway, it's not a competition, and it's not about who's the best or who's the most well-known or whatever. Radleigh is the most beautiful soul, one of the most beautiful souls I think that you can meet. And he really understands tarot. He was doing tarot before he started making the cards for Hay House. You may know him. He initially worked with Doreen Virtue. He's now very much standing on his own 2 feet and creating deck after deck, which I'm lucky enough to get hold of normally. And they are amazing. And we had a really interesting conversation, which is partly to celebrate the release of my new oracle cards, the Moonology Messages oracle cards, which I hope you have a deck of by now. And if you don't, just look them up, Moonology Messages oracle cards. They're selling like hotcakes. They are beautiful. The illustrations by Ali Vermilio are just gorgeous, and people are saying they're so on point. Radleigh himself said they're on point. I think he says that at the start of this interview as well. And generally, we had a chat about oracle cards and angels and tarot cards and the moon. It's really good. So if you're into this kind of thing, I strongly recommend you have a good listen. And thank you for listening to me. All right, lots of love. Well, hello, everybody. I am very excited today because in the lead up to the publication of my new oracle cards, which are the Moonology Messages cards, which I can't get them in focus on the camera, never mind. Here we are. I have the Oracle King with me.
Oh, whatever.
Has anyone ever called you that before?
No.
Because I always call Colette Baron Reid the Oracle Queen. So you must be the Oracle King.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I have the Oracle King himself, Radleigh Valentine, all the way from California. So, Radleigh, before I sort of get into chit-chatting about you, tell me how many card decks you have.
So my 10th one comes out in September. My 11th one comes out in October. My 13th comes out in April. My 14th comes out the next October.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm
You have
crazy.
2 coming out within 2 months.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking forward to seeing how you bring them to the market.
I'm looking forward to seeing how I find a way to sleep.
Yes, exactly. So, for anyone who's listening, who's just tuning in for the first time, because my humble 3rd deck is coming out in September.
Fabulous.
Thank you. I thought that I would have a chat to some of the big players in the oracle card field. And Radleigh was obviously one of the very first people who came to mind because he is so prolific, which even more prolific than I realised. So, Radleigh, couple of things that I wanted to ask you about, some to do with oracle cards and some just to do with you.
Okay.
So let me just start off by saying you arrived in the world of oracle cards via tarot, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And you've had some pushback from tarot people over the years who say they're not mean enough, your cards are not something. What do they say?
Oh, Radleigh Valentine ruined tarot.
Oh, Radleigh Valentine ruined
Yes,
tarot.
I
Wow.
personally single-handedly ruined tarot, but
Amazing.
they
And
just
do
don't.
any
Go ahead.
yes, what did it say?
I think some just don't take me very seriously, so
Oh,
which is
really?
fine. Yeah, it was just
And do
fine.
some people say Radleigh Valentine brought tarot to the masses?
Some people say that.
Because
Yeah,
you have.
right.
You have.
I mean, I think that what I did was I took something that was magical and powerful and ancient and turned it into something that was not as disconcerting and scary, without taking any of the depth of the meaning out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
that was my plan. So I think a lot of people who might have been anxious about tarot, but liked oracle cards, found a way to like come to tarot and go, okay, this is not bad. This is not even all that different. I'm good. And so definitely I hear it all the time, people saying, I never liked tarot or I didn't want to be a part of that, and who now love it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I basically segued from tarot to your cards because I used the Rider Waite Smith deck.
Mhm. No.
And I felt that as much as I find the cards disconcertingly accurate at times,
Mhm.
I'm not always ready for that kind of information. I do have a question though. Is it Major Arcana card 13 is the Tower?
Uh-huh.
If I get card number 13 in one of your tarot decks,
Uh-huh.
should I secretly fear the tower, or it is what it is in the deck?
Well, I mean, the Tower is one of the cards I think that in tarot it has like a really super bad rap. If you like see it on television or you see it in a movie, then what you're going to see with the tarot with the tower is either going to be the death card or the tower card. It's going to be something that's super melodramatic. I look at the tower as not being, oh, my life is going to be torn asunder. I look at the tarot card as the tower card as being, okay, something really big needs to shift in your life. And there are two ways to make the shift. You can make the shift yourself, or the universe will make the shift for you.
Um,
Guess which one's easier? That you make the shift. But I look at that
right. Interesting.
card
I
as
like that.
being like, yeah, I look at it as meaning something really needs to change.
Yeah.
And it's funny that because I'm going to take it because you brought it up, that's in a way a reading for me, which is, I don't want to get ahead of us, but sort of in a way segues to the first card I pulled out of your new deck. But I don't want to get
Mm.
ahead of ourselves. So
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So I just want to say what you just said about the tower card as an astrologer kind of makes me, which I know you do astrology as well, kind of sounds like an eclipse.
yeah, I think so. I
You know,
think that
something has to change.
people look at it, people have a tendency to think, if we're going to talk astrology, I think people tend to look at it as some sort of like Pluto tromping across your planets, and it can be, it absolutely can be, but more often it's an eclipse, right?
Yes.
It's like
Right.
not quite the intensity. Because I'm quintuple Sagittarius, I very distinctly remember a time in my life where Pluto went parading across all my Sag.
I
Just
bet you
went
do.
boom, 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 boom. I quit my job. My 14-year relationship ended. I moved to Denver, Colorado. It's like it just was like kabowie.
Yeah.
And the tower card can be kabowie, but it can also be
Yeah.
something not quite so intense.
Yeah. And also with Pluto, let's remember, symbolized by the phoenix that rises from the ashes. So, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
interesting. Okay. So well, before I ask you the first question I wanted to ask you, let's talk about the first card that you drew from my
Oh,
new deck.
yes, absolutely. So let me grab it here.
He's been very generous doing this. Thank you very much,
Oh
Radley.
my, I love it.
Thank
So
you.
I have a thing where the first card I pull from a deck to me is the tell all. It's like if it's spot on, I know it's good. And I do this with my own decks. The minute I get my hand on it, it's like because they send us a pre-copy,
Yeah.
right? And so the minute I have it in my hands, it's like that's what I do. I pull a card and okay. And it matters to me if it's spot on. And so the card that I pulled from Moonology Messages was Moonlight Enchanted. And so immediately I like the name, but what I thought was since every card starts with the word moon,
Yes,
finding it
I know.
alphabetically is a minute.
I'm always trying to get them to put numbers on my cards and they never want to. I don't know
No,
why.
that is so weird, Yasmin, because it's like, Hay House America will not let me not put numbers on anymore. It is a
It's strange.
requirement. It's a requirement. They
I
won't let
beg
me.
them and I'm always told, no, no. I think they think it
So
spoils the aesthetic.
it's so weird because I can't and they won't let me. I have to put a number on it.
We
But
need
anyway,
that. We need your people to speak to my people.
uh, anyway, so it says there is something magical and enchanted about moonlight. Whatever it touches turns a beautiful creamy silver. Something is doing this in your life now or is about to. Life is all about cycles, as is astrology and moonology. And right now, you're about to move into a more enchanted time or cycle in your life, if you believe. Whatever you're wishing for can come true because you're starting to believe again, perhaps after a rough time. This card reminds you to focus on the good while you process the difficult. If you can't yet feel the magic in your life, take support from a daily practice of just breathing out with the intention of breathing out stress through cleansing breaths. It might be dark now, but there is moonlight at the end of the tunnel. Good sentence. So keep the faith and see the world through kind eyes. And to me, it's like this is almost in a way like the moonlight at the end of the tunnel after the tower card,
Ah,
right? And it's like I definitely feel like I've been living the tower for a solid year, year and a half.
right. Sorry to hear it.
No, it's okay because it's like
Okay.
that's how things shift. And so I'm good with it. And astrologically, this time is almost over for me of that. And this to me was just so beautiful and so much a sense of comfort of yes, here's your validation that the loveliness, the enchantedness that is to come from the hard work is here. So I loved it. I thought it was
Oh, that's
perfect.
beautiful, Radleigh. Oh, thank you for sharing that with me. I didn't know you were going to share. I mean, you told me on email, but I didn't know we were going to talk about that. It's lovely. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, so Radley, a couple of things. One, obviously, as well as being, the king of the cards, sorry, you're also extremely well known for your work with the angelic realm.
Yes.
So when we spoke last time on my podcast, we did talk about angels and oracle cards, but I'm not sure if we talked about exactly how to ask for divine guidance from your angels when you are doing a card spread. Is that something you do? You recommend? How do you do it? Should
Yeah,
we all do it?
well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like there is no all and there is no none. So I don't do the extremes, but I think that angels and archangels are messengers of the divine. That's what they are. And so they are an offshoot of source of the universe. And they're here without ego, without any kind of agenda, without any kind of anything other than pure unconditional love to help us, to support us, to be there for us. So for me, it is challenging to understand why you wouldn't want that relationship, why you wouldn't want to have these magical helpers that God or goddess or whatever word you want to use has sent our way to help us to lighten the journey that is quite intense in an incarnation on planet Earth. So to me, I absolutely believe that bringing angels into anything is a great idea. Newcomers to angels, I suggest they start with guardian angels because they're dedicated to you and nobody else but you 24/7 for your entire lifetime. It's not hard to get to know them. It's just a simple matter of practice and creating for yourself some sort of exercise on a daily basis where you connect with your angels. I talk to my angels at nighttime before bed. I talk to my angels when I get up in the morning. I talk to them during the day if weird things happen. I consider it to be a source of comfort and joy. I mean, they're funny. Angels have a great sense of humor. They're
So
hilarious.
they talk back to you then if you know they're funny.
Oh yeah, no, they do. They're hilarious. All of them. I'm trying to think. It's like mm, I think the most serious archangel for me is Shamuel. I don't he's just kind of serious, but that most all of them have like great senses of humor. My guardian angels do. If you're a very serious person, don't expect angels to talk to you in humor. They're going to talk to you where you're coming from. That's how it works. But
Right.
I'm a person of humor. I like to
Yeah.
laugh. I like to make jokes. I'm pretty funny. And so they talk to me in the language in which I am accustomed to speaking.
Amazing. So if someone was new to angels and or oracle cards, what do you do? Do you like talk to your angels as you're shuffling the cards?
I do a little prayer, dear archangels, or guardian angels, please help me with this reading. Please direct the right cards into my hands and onto the desk in front of me and help me to be able to interpret them. And, there's very specific angels that I might call upon. Archangel Gabriel is the archangel of communication. So is a great archangel for like help me to communicate with the cards and my angels to be able to understand what I'm seeing. Raziel is fantastic. We talked about Raziel in my podcast when you came on to talk about moonology. And he's the archangel that is said to sit at the throne of God and is all about the esoteric and understanding the secrets of the universe. So there are archangels that are really great, but your guardian angels, again, if you're new, just start there. Let's start at the very beginning, a very fine
Exactly.
place to start, right? So just a great place to start. And if people are really into it and they want the easy path, the quick path, the fast route, then I highly recommend the very first book I ever read on angels, which is called Angel Speak. It's Angelspeake by Barbara Marks and Trudy Griswold. It's still in print. It's basically a book that teaches you about a concept called automatic writing and how to talk to your angels. And it's literally the Angels 101 elementary school version of Get Started.
Okay. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So when you're reading for someone, what if they do get some cards which are a bit challenging? How do you help them deal with that? And also in the light of the angels being woven into the whole thing.
Right. So the first thing that there are challenging cards in tarot, even in Radleigh Valentine decks, because tarot is life
Yeah.
and life is challenging.
Yeah.
So you take all of the challenges out of tarot, it's really not tarot anymore.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be cards that are difficult. And I try to remind people that at any given time, a reading is not fate. It is the energy of where you are at this moment and the most likelihood of where you're going to end up
It's
if
not fate, Fate.
right. It's not fated. It is where you're headed. And so you can change that. If you don't like where you're headed, change. And
Yeah.
so I look at a lot of cards that are very challenging and go, okay, is this where you are? Or is this a heads up about where you are headed? And if it's a heads up, we can change it. If it's where you are, we can take actions to get you out of it. And so I like to do what I call archangel prescriptions. It's something that I created. I don't think that I don't think the word prescriptions translates. Does that translate in England? I don't know. It doesn't
Well,
translate in Germany.
a prescription is something the doctor writes you for
Okay,
pills.
okay. Well, apparently that's not a word in German
Ah,
because they make me
okay,
change it. They make me change it when I'm
okay.
talking over there. But anyway, it's literally like, okay, here are the archangels that can help you out of this mess. But if there's a challenging card and it's like, well, that's not happening in my life, but it's where I'm afraid I'm going, then I would probably take that card and get rid of all the other cards, lay that card on the table by itself, and then we pull more cards to go, how do I move past this if I don't like it? What are the
Wow.
next
Okay.
steps?
And is that something you teach? Do you have like a certification course where you teach stuff like this just while we're chit chatting?
Oh yeah, no, totally. I have my certified angel tarot reader course that's through Hay House. I have a million courses on radleighvalentine.com that's all about reading cards and angels and manifesting. Those are the three things that I teach about.
Right. Amazing. Okay. All right. So your career has already been long and illustrious. What is your favorite thing in your career so far?
Huh. Um, what is a favorite thing? The favorite thing in my career, when I'm lucky, repeats itself. My favorite thing is to walk into a room and say, "Who works with angels?" and almost nobody raises their hands.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say
That's
everybody raises their hands.
no, I want the newbies. I want the kids who's
Interesting.
it's like I want the ones who I get to see that the light in their eyes when it happens. And
Amazing.
I was lucky you and I were at I Can Do It this past April. Almost nobody raised their hands in the room. I
Wow.
just came back from Celebrate Your Life. Um, almost nobody raised their hands. And so to me, that's the joy. That's the taking a 5-year-old to Disneyland for the first time. It's letting them get to experience for the first time and see, oh my God, this is amazing. Who knew? I didn't realize. That's my thing. I love that. That's what I love more than anything.
That's beautiful. So when the light in their eyes goes on, is it what's happened? When they get it, what's happened? What have they got?
What have they got? They've suddenly got access to this magical ability to like make their lives better. I mean, it's I mean, I'm going to further explain this to say that my favorite emotion, it's taken me years to really kind of like hone this down. And ironically, it was a recent trip to Disney World that helped me get this like nailed down. But my favorite emotion is awe,
Mm,
AWE. I love to be awed. Because to me, the emotion of awe resonates after love. The second most powerful emotion that resonates with the divine itself for me is awe. To be in absolute awe of existence, of any experience. And that's what you see in people's eyes is you see this sense of, oh my God, it's getting your letter to Hogwarts, right? That's what that
yeah,
is. It's the, oh my God, the magic is real moment. And I love that moment, and I love being there for other people when they have that moment. That's just the bomb for me.
amazing. Amazing. That's beautiful. I love that. So, and actually, I'll see you at I Can Do It in
March,
where is it going to be? Dallas,
Phoenix.
Phoenix, Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, amazing. We should all go to Sedona afterwards.
Oh, well, Phoenix in March is that's perfection in weather.
Oh,
It will
great.
be glorious. It will
Right.
be crystal blue skies, and I never can translate Celsius to Fahrenheit,
No,
but
no, nobody
It'll
can.
it'll it'll be beautiful.
Great. That's, yeah, because it'd be amazing. So, Bradley, when I booked you to come on the podcast again, I asked you, what would you like me to ask you? And one of your questions that you said you would like me to ask you was extremely unexpected and unusual. I'm going to ask it to you now.
All right.
Radleigh Valentine, if you could change one thing from your past, what would it be?
So to me, that is a very tempting arena. I'm a sci-fi nerd. Okay.
Okay.
Total sci-fi nerd. It's like, it's, I always have been. And so I think it's very tempting to spend a whole lot of time in our lives going coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's what my financial planner used to say. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. And
Should have
it's
bought Google stock.
Should
Should
coulda
have
bought
bought.
Google stock. Right. Shoulda sold everything you had before 2008 and then bought it back in 2009. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. But I call it time travel, and in my books, I talk about no time traveling, because when we focus our thoughts and lives on what happened and God, I wish I could change that, and I wish this wasn't the way it was, and I wish this and I wish that, we are no longer living in the present. And I think we are short circuiting the
I
future.
hope you enjoyed this week's
And
episode of
so
the
it's a
Mainly
little bit of a
Moonology
trick
podcast. If
question
you'd like to
because
stay updated
it's
with the
for
moon and
me,
moonology and
yeah, for
astrology and
me,
all the
the
other
answer
things
to
we
the
cover,
question is
be sure to
nothing
subscribe to the podcast via
because
Apple Podcasts or
I like
Spotify.
who I
You'll be
am. I
notified
like where
whenever
I
a new
am.
episode is
We
up.
don't
Also,
know
it would
if I
mean a
went
lot to
back
me
and
and my
changed
team if you
this,
could leave
who I
us
would
a
be
glowing
today, where I would
five-star
be
review
today.
on
Would
your
my life
podcast
be
platform
like
of choice,
totally different? Would it
please.
be
That actually helps more
terrible? Would
people
it be
find us too,
unfulfilled?
which spreads the
And
love and
so I put
surely
that
also
question in
brings
there
you
because
amazing
I
karma
think
for
at the
taking a moment
moment you
to
asked me
help
that,
us
which was
out
a
and to
couple
help
of
other
months
people
ago,
find the podcast.
it's like I
Have
was
a
in
great
the
week,
middle of
and
the
I hope to speak
tower
to you
and
next
I
week.
was in
Lots
this
of love.
space of like, ugh, I wish I hadn't ever blanked. And yet
Interesting.
it's like, well, no, because you don't know what that would be. And I don't want to live in the past. I want to live in the now. And so the answer is nothing.
Well, that's good. So it's good I asked you this question a few weeks or months later because
Yeah.
now you can see how far you've come. That's amazing. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well done. So, I have two more questions. One is a
Sure.
bit more sort of philosophical like that, and the last one is again about oracle cards. But
Okay.
in your position as someone who works with the oracle cards, someone who works with angels, someone who's definitely connected to the divine, what do you wish every human on the planet knew?
That angels are real and that they are loved and they're never alone.
Yeah.
And I wish they knew that. And I wish they knew that all the fear-mongering brouhaha around talking to the divine is purely that. It's 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 a holdover from ancient times where where religious leaders wanted you to believe that you can't talk to God except through them. It was a power play.
Mm.
And it's not real. And that there is no single direction to the divine. There is no single path. There's 7.8 billion people on planet Earth. To say that there is only one way to the divine makes God pretty petty and small.
Yeah.
And so I wish everybody could wake up to that.
And I feel like, and I'm not just saying this, I really feel this, that oracle cards are a way to access the divine.
Well, exactly, and that's my point, right?
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
question, it is the divine within you, if nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. And to know the divine within you, what you're currently creating, as you said,
Mhm.
yeah, it's extremely empowering. Okay, I want to end on a very much less esoteric question, much more practical question, but it's something that someone on my team wanted to know about. So I'm
Oh,
going
okay.
to hit you. So I've seen, back in the day, people using multiple card decks in one reading. So
Yeah,
they might do three or say five cards in a row from one deck, and then they do the next row down, or I'm not sure
yeah,
if they go down in columns or they go in rows or whatever.
yeah,
And now I'm going to have three decks. I'm
yeah.
thinking, okay, well, I can start to do multiple decks. I've never really understood how people do it, why they do it, does it work? What do you think? And
Yeah,
someone on the team asked Aileen, our producer, who you've been in
hi,
touch with,
Elaine.
she wanted to know that as well.
No, I think it does work. I don't think it's difficult. I think that what it does is it adds three-dimensional depth to it. I don't play chess. I certainly don't play three-dimensional chess, but
Mhm.
it's a good analogy for it. And so the way people do it is you focus on whatever question it is, and you do three cards from one deck. So you got three decks. So let's do three decks, three cards. So three cards, deck one, three cards, deck
In
two.
a row, not a column.
No, so 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then down below that 1, 2, 3. So
Okay.
there you've got 9 cards, 3 rows, 3 columns, right? First
Right.
deck at the top, second deck, and then third deck. And so then you read the first card like you would normally. So you turn over the first card, and then you turn over the card beneath it and beneath that. And so if you're doing a past, present, future, that's just because that's easy and a lot of people know that. So the
Yeah.
first card is about the past, the second card is still about the past, and the third card is about the past. And so it's like a 3-card reading about the past.
Got it. That's brilliant. I love
And
it.
and then the middle card, now you have a 3-card reading about the present
Yeah.
and a 3-card reading about the future. And so it adds depth to it. So you would basically go, oh, this card says, your angels are with you. The next card beneath it says enchantment. Okay. And the next card beneath that says strawberry moon or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
making stuff up here, but it's
Yeah.
like now you're looking at it and going, wow, here's all this information about the past, here's all this information about the present, here's all this information about the future, and now you can look at it and go, here's the depth of that. So I look forward to your first video that you're going to
I will
post
do one. I will
about,
definitely do one.
yeah,
Okay. Well, honestly, Radleigh, thank you so much
sure.
for being here to help celebrate the launch of my Moonology Messages deck. But let
Happy
us
to.
also get the names of your two decks coming out in September and October.
Okay, so in September, my Angel Answer Oracle cards is coming out as a pocket deck.
Oh,
So
what is that?
yeah, so let me show you what that is. So here is Angel Answer Oracle cards, and here is
Okay.
the pocket deck.
Oh, and is that
So
the size of a playing card or smaller?
no, it's tiny. It's like it fits in your pocket. So it's a
Yeah.
way to carry the cards around without having to without taking up a lot of space or a lot of weight and stuff or
Yes.
size.
Yeah. Well,
That's
there's
super.
no way you're going to carry those around in your pocket, but the
Well,
little
you
ones you
can,
will.
and people do, but this is so much tinier and
Yes.
like almost stealth-like, if you
Yes.
will, because it's like you're in Home Depot and you want to pull a card, nobody could see you.
Yes.
And then the deck
Wow. And that is a great deck, by the way, Angel Answers. I love that deck.
it's very, very popular. And then coming out in October is Angels and Auras Oracle Card Decks. It's a deck that I did with my BFF, Dougal Frazier. And
Brilliant.
this is a deck that takes angels and mixes them with aura colors, because archangels all
Oh
come
my
with a
God.
particular color. Auras are a particular color. And at some point, Dougal and I were talking and we realized there was a connection. And
Wow.
so we turned it into a deck. So we're very excited about this, and it comes
And
out in
do you
October.
actually have the cards in there?
Yeah,
The
I do.
angel. Are you able to draw us all a card?
Absolutely, I can do that.
Okay,
So,
so this is for everybody who's watching this.
right.
Amazing.
So this is divine self, divine self. And the card resonates to the color orange. And it says intuition, balance, connection, and spirit. One thing about this deck that's super cool is this is the first deck that I've ever created that is specifically designed to be read inverted or reversed. And so if
Ah.
this card had been up reversed, then there are the words that it means upside down.
Oh, wow.
So it would have meant indecisive, uneven, scattered, or stuck in your ego. But we
Mm.
didn't get that. What we got was upside right. And again, it's intuition, balance, connection, spirit. It's about the divine self. This totally resonates with what we've been talking about.
Oh, it
Being
does.
in connection with our divine, the inner divine through oracle cards. We couldn't have picked it better if we had tried.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Well, I can't wait for those 2 decks. So
Yes.
that's 3 decks everybody has to buy.
Yes,
Moonology
that's right.
Messages, Angel Answers Pocket, and Archangels and Auras.
Angels and auras. Yes.
Angels and Auras. Amazing.
Yes.
It's going to be okay. Well, I definitely want a copy of that deck, please. In fact, both of
Okay.
them. I think I need a pocket deck.
I
Is that
will.
the first ever pocket deck that Angel Answers?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Is that the first deck that's ever been done, pocket deck by Hay House?
Hay House did like 3 of them at once, I think. It was because they're in alignment with Penguin decks, Penguin books, I should.
Right.
And I guess some other people have been doing pocket decks, and Penguin wrote to Hay House and said, "Hey, these are selling really, really well. You should consider this." And so
Yes.
they did one of mine, one of Colette's, and one of Kyle's. So
Amazing.
in a way, we're test subjects.
Brilliant, brilliant. And for anybody who's listening to this podcast and can't actually see, the pocket deck is, as Radleigh said, even smaller than normal playing cards. So it fits in your
Yes.
pocket. You can take it anywhere. Amazing. So, Mr. Valentine, do tell us where we can find you everywhere.
You can find me at radleighvalentine.com. That's the jumping off point. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Insta. I'm on TikTok, though I don't know why. And but my website is the place where you can connect to everything.
Okay, brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here and
I'm
your
happy
very
to.
generous chit chat. And I hope to see you soon.
Okie doke.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Mainly Moonology podcast. If you'd like to stay updated with the moon and moonology and astrology and all the other things we cover, be sure to subscribe to the podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You'll be notified whenever a new episode is up. Also, it would mean a lot to me and my team if you could leave us a glowing 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, please. That actually helps more people find us too, which spreads the love and surely also brings you amazing karma for taking a moment to help us out and to help other people find the podcast. Have a great week, and I hope to speak to you next week. Lots of love.